began with a whisper. The whisper was quiet like the flutter of wings against an old paper scroll, but it carried with it a warning that would lead to the unraveling of everything we thought we knew about life, death, and the spaces in between. The wall of the world was not a literal wall. It was an ancient phenomenon, older than any civilization, older than time itself. It existed in the fabric of our reality, like an invisible veil that divided the known world from a realm unknown, and the whispering began at its edge. At first, no one noticed. It was only a subtle shift and odd presence in the air, a soft tremor in the ground, like the world had a memory of something it had forgotten. First to hear it was a young scholar named Alistair. He had always been fascinated by the paranormal, dedicating his life to studying strange phenomena, but never in his wildest dreams had he imagined the terror that would one day engulf him. Alistair had spent months researching the wall of the world. It was said to be the boundary where reality and the supernatural met, and where forgotten spirits wandered. His obsession led him to a desolate corner of the earth, where ancient ruins lay hidden beneath layers of dirt and dust. Here, in the ruins, was where he first encountered an inscription on the stone that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. The inscription read, "The wall is not just a barrier, but a prison." Alistair's curiosity was insatiable. He spent sleepless nights trying to decipher the meaning of those cryptic words until one night, in a dream, he saw a figure standing before him. The figure was a woman, her face obscured by a veil of shadow. Her voice was the whisper he had heard, soft and mournful. "Release me," she begged, her voice echoing in his mind. "I am trapped within the wall, just like so many others." When Alistair woke up, his heart raced. The whisper was gone, but something had changed. He felt as if the walls of his room had grown thinner, as if the fabric of reality had stretched to the breaking point. It was then that he realized the wall of the world was not merely a boundary, it was a prison, holding the souls of the lost and the damned trapped for eternity. Alistair's obsession grew. He delved deeper into the history of the wall, uncovering stories of ancient civilizations that had tried and failed to cross it. He found evidence of rituals and dark ceremonies, all centered around the wall. The more he learned, the more he became convinced that the wall was not just a passive barrier, but a malevolent force feeding on the souls trapped within it. One fateful evening, Alistair made a decision. He would cross the wall to understand it fully, to learn its secrets, even if it meant losing himself in the process. Armed with nothing but his knowledge and his courage, he ventured to the site of the ancient ruins once more. The air was thick with tension as he approached the stone inscription, the whispers louder now, like a chorus of lost voices beckoning him forward. With trembling hands, he placed his palm against the cold stone. A surge of energy coursed through him, and before he could react, the world around him began to warp and twist. The ground beneath his feet seemed to dissolve, and he felt himself falling, plunging into a void that stretched out forever. When he awoke, he found himself in a place unlike any he had ever seen. The sky above him was a dull gray, and the landscape was barren, with twisted trees and jagged rocks that seemed to stretch toward the horizon, like the claws of some monstrous being. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the silence was deafening, save for the faintest whisper that seemed to come from all directions. Alistair's heart pounded in his chest. He was no longer in the world he knew. He had crossed the wall, but in doing so, he had entered a realm where the very fabric of reality seemed to break down. This was the land of the lost souls, the place where the spirits of the dead were condemned to wander for eternity. The whispers grew louder, and Alistair's skin crawled as a figure emerged from the shadows. It was the woman from his dreams, her face still hidden beneath the veil of darkness. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and her voice, when she spoke, was like a chorus of 1,000 voices, all speaking at once. "You should not have come," she said, her words carrying a weight that pressed down on Alistair's chest. "You have unleashed something terrible." Before he could respond, the ground beneath him trembled. The air thickened, and a dark mist began to rise from the earth, swirling around him like a living thing. Mist twisted and writhed, taking on the shapes of monstrous figures, ghastly, twisted beings that were neither living nor dead. They surrounded him, their eyes filled with an unholy hunger. "You cannot leave," the woman whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. "Once you enter the wall, you are bound to it forever." Alistair's mind raced. He had crossed the wall to uncover its secrets, but he had not anticipated the consequences. The wall was not just a barrier, it was a prison, and now he was a prisoner within it. The spirits that wandered this realm were trapped just like him, lost souls seeking release. But there was no escape. The wall had claimed him as it had claimed countless others before him. As the twisted figures closed in, Alistair realized the true horror of the wall. It was not just a physical boundary, it was a curse, a trap set by forces older than time itself. And now, he was a part of it, forever trapped within the ghostly prison. The whispers began to fade, and all that remained was the sound of his own breath, shallow and frantic as he felt himself being consumed by the darkness. The woman's face was the last thing he saw before the world swallowed him whole. Her eyes filled with pity and sorrow. And then, silence. Some say that Alistair's story was never meant to be told. That the wall of the world was a place where stories went to die, lost to time and memory. But every now and then, when the wind is just right, the whispers can be heard, faint and distant, as if calling someone to the edge of the world, to the place where the living and the dead meet. Perhaps if you listen closely enough, you'll hear the faintest whisper, a warning, release me. And you'll wonder if one day the wall